Greetings to you all. We're here once again, gavel in hand. Mwah! The magnifique gavel, coming off a whole week of fighting massive dragons all the way down to trying to make the belts work and spaghetti. I live in the spaghetti. It's so fun. And a little break until Monster Hunter Wilds launches in just 12 days, under 2 weeks. It's going to be good. And of course, we're here once again to celebrate the stories that have been amassed over the week from you guys around the world with Drama Time. The stories of your interactions with the crazy people you meet online and the weird and wonderful way they play. And I've got 3 stories in front of me. And I always say, everybody has a story to tell because you've been online with people, haven't you? Yes, you have. And people act very strange online. And you can send them to us at drama@preachgaming.com. You can share them with us, any weird and wonderful tales that you may have had recently or in the past, or just want to get it off your chest because it was weird and maybe you goofed up. Often people come to us asking for judgment on their actions. And I don't know if today will be any different because these stories are vetted by our wonderful Bex, who reads through them all and picks and chooses and sorts them for me and things like that. But I have to start with this one. As it has been announced, we have the release date of the next WoW raid. We know when it's coming. I have no idea if I'm going to be involved or not, but if I am, we'll find out, won't we? That's the way it's gonna be. That's the way it's gonna be. So we'll I'll find out when you find out. Oh, there are some choice names in this one, actually. Some choice names I'm noticing here. Some familiar faces. Our wonderful website supporters who enable Drama Time to continue on after 10 long years and have your name into these tales to be immortalized. How you will be immortalized, I cannot say. I cannot say, but it is one of those things. I don't get involved. Total honesty. Head to toe, I swear on my children's life, I have no involvement on whether I'm at or involved in the Race to World First in any way anymore and haven't done for a few years, all right? Nups knows. Point at him. He knows because he's the one who deals with all these things. I actually have zero involvement whatsoever. I have no involvement at all. It is his job. He organizes these things. He finds out whether it's worth us going or not and doing these kinds of things. So it's out of my hands. For my own good, I will point out. It is for my own good. Nups' primary role is to protect me from me, which he does more often than I would like to admit. But his main job is to protect me from me and make sure we're all still here at the end of the week. That's the way it goes. All right, let's have some fun. This story has been entitled The Gay Warlock. I don't know how this is going to go, but let's have some fun. Greetings, Preach, and the lovable, glorious, and incredibly sexy jury that is the live audience. Now, you're getting buttered up here, chat. You know how it goes when it gets a little sussy. Yeah, exactly. The sus levels rise. I have to warn any prospective authors of Drama Time. Trying to be nice to the audience will result in a wave of guilty by association. You should look at the way they treat me, okay? The audience doesn't like kindness in any way, shape, or form. With me greasing your wheels, you would think I am desperate to find an innocent verdict, so it looks like we are being the jury. However, I already know before you get to the end of this tale that you will declare me guilty. However, in my defense, there are no innocent parties here. There are only people more guilty than others, so perhaps a guilt ranking system is in order. That's an interesting way of putting things. Okay, a guilty ranking system. Top 5 guiltiest people in the party. YouTube Shorts, here we come. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to take you back in time just a wee bit to where it was misty and pandery. I was in the Throne of Thunder patch of World of Warcraft, patch 5.2. You know, one of the questions, this is me talking now, one of the questions I get asked by people who are like hardcore long-time WoW players, What was the best patch ever? Often the question is, what was the best expansion ever? Which raises debate. But what if you break it down? What was the best ever patch of the game? And it's a tough question. However, I kind of lean towards patch 5.2. Patch 5.2 is the Throne of Thunder. We also had the Thunder Isle, which I think was probably the best implementation of an outdoor zone that wasn't just relevant to casuals. We got a lot out of it as well. It did. It had Raden. I mean, many people will argue that next to Ulduar, the Throne of Thunder was the best raid they ever made. Although it does have that bridge. And if you've played World of Warcraft and you've played Mists of Pandaria, you know of the bridge. It does have the bridge. But the raid itself overall, Lei Shen, one of the best bosses ever. Great outdoor content. The Mage Tower patch, yeah, I think the Mage Tower patch wouldn't be universally agreed as being the best. I agree. For me, it was phenomenal. I had the absolute best time ever during the Mage Tower since I started streaming. Because streaming does take something away from the day-to-day running of the game. But I think a lot of casual players will probably disagree with the Mage Tower patch, I would guess, if they remember it. 8.3.5 corruption purchasing. Also had problems, though, right? They, cycled it through weeks. You could get some corruptions one week, but you couldn't get them the next, and blah, 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 and you had to collect those points. I would disagree on that, because it also had that visions thing. You guys remember that cloak fucking bollocks that we had to do over and over and over? You had to do it like 4 times some weeks, if not 6, to get your cloak upgrade. Oh, it was fucking horrendous, man. They took the horrific visions. That's what they were called. A good concept. Horrific visions were really fun, unless you're forced to do them over and over and over again, which is what they did, which was horrible. Yeah, it was horrible. They took a really good idea. Not that they would ever repeat such a process. I kind of lean towards 5.2 as being the best patch they ever put into the game. 5.2 was pretty rock solid by my memory. Had Thunder Forging, but at that point it wasn't the end of the world. You got all those coins so you could gear up your alts really fast in LFR, like guaranteed loot pretty much, the bonus for loot coins. Not bad. Okay. I was 19 years old and a secluded gamer. Back to the story, sorry. Tangent there, but I think it's well worthy of discussion. It's 19 years old. I was, of course, a complete and utter total degenerate. I was no-lifing this game more than is healthy. And as someone who was so into it, I was doing a minimum 9 hours a day. That's not that much when you consider the no-life hours some of us have put into that game. If I'm being honest with you guys, at my worst, I think I went maybe 4 weeks at about 18 hours a day. At my absolute worst. I think that was... I did do that for multiple weeks during the Burning Crusade. Yeah, I think it was about 18 hours a day. I was barely sleeping and just playing all day. All day. No, I didn't have a job. I think it was like summer or something like that. And I got to stay at my brother's, so I had no parents. So that was a rough time. Don't recommend. Don't recommend. I don't know if I was in university at the time. I might have been at university and got some break off or whatever. Either way, the most important thing, did I bathe? Not really. No. I was staying at my brother's. I didn't have a girlfriend. Or did I have a girlfriend? But because I was staying at my brother's, I just didn't see her. I can't remember. Potentially. My brother lived very far away from where my house was. My brother lived very far away from where my house was, so if I was there, and I couldn't drive at the time, so yeah. Yeah, it was bad. It wasn't. I don't recommend. But no one ever told me to stop playing. No. In fact, only English guys will probably get this. We just had Chippy every night. That was it. That's how we lived. We ate once a day, and we just had Chippy delivered to the house. And we just ate Chippy and carried on gaming. And then we gamed until Chippy arrived 24 hours later. That's what we did. I want Chippy now. That is the dream. It's not. It's bad. Okay, I know we're off track here, but I've been so focused. I've got stories to share with you guys. I don't know what your standard Chippy order is, and many British people will have one. At the time, my standard Chippy order was a portion of egg fried rice with a steak and kidney pudding, and we split some chips. Chips, rice, and a steak and kidney pudding covered in ketchup. That was the standard order. That was the play. Chips, rice, and a steak and kidney pudding with ketchup all over it. It must have had less protein in it than a pot noodle. We don't really get battered sausages in Manchester. It's not really a thing. Not really a thing.
I feel like we need to address this.
Oh, here he comes. I've woke the beast.
Ridiculous.
Why?
Up here in North,
In North.
it is normal to go to a chippy
Yeah.
and have Chinese food.
Yeah. 100%.
That is insane.
There's practically zero English chippies in the North.
I don't get it.
I know of one in the local area. One English. No, I know two, but I'm talking a good 6 miles apart. And there's a chippy on every street. To give you context, there is a chippy on every main road, if not two. And I only know of two actual English ones.
Like, in my town where I grew up, there was a Chinese chippy, singular.
Yeah, very normal up here. They're all Chinese.
But there were other chippies that were, not that.
No.
And even then, it was not normal to get Chinese food there.
That's so weird. Chinese food is way
you
better.
Get battered sausage or something.
Oh,
right?
if you order fish around here, you're definitely a loser. Like, there is no bigger tell than you are an absolute nonce than ordering a fish in the North.
You are mad.
You absolute nonce.
It's fish and chips.
Nobody likes fish and chips. Fish and chips
I
fucking
love fish
suck.
and chips. It's great.
Yeah, you southern loser.
Yeah.
You southern loser.
Savages.
Yeah, you mix some Chinese food with some English food, you're all good. The only idiot food you can get in a chippy in the North is a scallop. Anyone who orders a scallop is a terrorist. That's just a fact. That's a fact. Fish and chips is rubbish. Give me some sweet and sour chicken, baby. With some chips. Chips and sausage and a Savoy. Savoy. Anyway, we've gone well off track. You can tell I'm in a bit of a mood. I'm feeling a bit of a way today. Anyway, back to the story. I have to tell you, although I was gaming 8 to 9 hours a day, I was so bad at this game. It was unbelievable. I did 0 heroics. I daren't step foot in any battlegrounds. And definitely, I never touched a raid. I was playing 8 to 9 hours a day, leveling alts. So miserable. Jesus Christ. Just miserable. I would play 1 or 2 levels on each character, then swap to a new one each time. I would mostly bounce around between my Druid, Warlock, and Monk, which were Worgen, Pandaren, respectively. And yes, fuck you, Mike, I am a legitimate furry. Okay. Why share? Why do we need to know? Alright. You do you. And of course, I was doing my garden on all my alts in the Valley of the Four Winds. Oh man, I'm such an arsehole. I really am. I'm talking about me here. I didn't do the garden because I thought it was probably lame casual content, and I did it at the very end of the expansion, and it was so fun. I did it probably in the last 2 months of Pandaria existing, and it was so fun. It was really fun, and I was just like, God damn it, I didn't do this because it looked like a pointless MMO grind, and I was like, I can't be bothered. And then I went and did it, and I was like, this is great. This is really cool. I collected all the gems. I did all the bits and bobs. Anyway, having experienced some serious drama caused by loot and complete noobs, myself included, trying to run a raiding guild despite us never raiding. Oof. which caused that guild to implode within 10 days. Why do you guys decide to start running a raid guild when you've never been in a raid before? I don't understand this mentality. I'm going to run a raid guild. I have no idea how it works. I have no concept of this whatsoever. But because of this, I was hesitant to join another guild because of my bad experience, let alone actually try raiding, okay? And then I did a heroic. And in that heroic, I had the most wonderful experience. I met the star of this story, Armst, a super gay elderly man that loved to remind everyone that he was from a country that no longer exists. Ooh, Srelon. We talked about that recently for some reason. Where would they be? Yugoslavia, maybe? Czechoslovakia, could be. Oh yeah, it's a good puzzle. Countries that no longer exist. Gulf of Mexico, too soon. Not a country. Along with him, I met Ajna and Ukami. All people I became good friends with, and because of whom, they invited me to their guild. Oh, ignore me, I'm from the future. When I joined... Oh, let's have a name for the Gay Warlock Guild. What are we calling the Gay Warlock Guild? Nothing offensive. What are we calling the guild? We need a guild. We like it. The Pipers. I like that. The Pied Pipers. Come on his chest. The Chippy. We'll call him the Chippy. I like that. We'll call him the Chippy. The Chippy was run by a lady in her 40s. You say that like that's old. Still young, that's all right. And their main form of communication was not Discord or any sort of online forum. They ran the guild via Facebook. See, I'm leaving. That's not possible. That's not allowed. You can't. No, I'm not having that. I'm not doing that. You can't run the guild through Facebook, man. That's not okay. That's not okay. Oh, true. Do you think people make like gamer? They probably do, right? Gamer Facebook accounts for shit like that. They probably do. It was also a guild formed after their previous guild they raided within Wrath of the Lich King splintered because of drama involving the guild leader and the officer bumping uglies. In hindsight, all this would have been a great sign to not be a part of this. Yeah, I mean, before I even heard the story of the old relationship drama of the Facebook group, I'm out. But here's the thing, Mike. As is true of so many drama stories, I made friends. And they referred to the members of the guild. Come on, live audience. What do these guilds always call themselves? They're not just gamers. They're not just players. They are, as Vin Diesel would tell us all, they're family. They're family. Oh, yes. We're a family. It's not just a guild. We're family. Oh, yes. The Chippy, however, was nothing to scoff at in terms of raiding. They managed to clear the extremely difficult and taxing normal Throne of Thunder 10-man. Okay. And had made a big deal that they were going to clear normal Siege of Orgrimmar when it released. Wow. Kind of huge. There was enough of an interesting flex, though, that a secondary raid group was put together, including Armst, Ajna, and Ukami. And this is when it all exploded. The raid leader of the normal group was an individual by the name of Braggart, and the raid leader of the flex group was going to be me. You've been made the raid leader. Okay. Interesting. And from the very beginning, there were problems. Braggart considered his group to be the S-tier group, and he wanted people in his normal group that were only interested in flex, like Ukami. And there were people in the flex group that thought themselves good enough to actually go and do heroic, like Armst. This led Armst to hate Braggart, and by proxy, Ukami as well. There were so many raid nights when me, Ajna, and Armst were hanging out in TeamSpeak, just shooting the shit, and Armst making snide remarks about how much of a twat Braggart is. And guild leader was just as bad. About how much he has given to the guild, sacrificed for the chippy, and not got anything back. And how as an elderly gay man from a country that no longer exists, he had more wisdom than most. I will have you know, I am an elderly gay man, and my country no longer exists, so you will listen to me. You will listen. At the time, Arms said something that did stick with me. I was friendless and poor. However, Braggart had his fair share of elitism about him. Ukami, the other source of info I had on the raid leader, told me stories about the raid runs they did. How Braggart was against speaking during raid time. Especially during trash, because it caused people to lose focus on efficient trash clearing. How he had established what he called the Braggart hierarchy. Here we go. The Braggart hierarchy, which was a hierarchy of loot distribution that was the base version of need or greed. However, there was then subsections of priorities to specific people depending on how Braggart ranked them. After every weekly round of raids, Braggart would post his performance list, where he would subdivide people into different categories from top tier downwards, and wouldn't include himself on the list. Braggart was known for having poor DPS, but Braggart also said that as the raid leader, it was impossible for him to top the DPS and control the flow of battle, as he called it. Interesting. The flow of battle. As raid leader, as you can probably imagine, Braggart was very high on his own hierarchy list. Yes, the flow of battle must be controlled. Yes. Using this information, Arms kept pouring sweet bullshit down my throat. How I'm a better raid leader. How our loot council system is far more democratic. How our group is just more fun than the other team. And how both the guild leader and especially Braggart are in an alliance to suck our good players away from our team to feed theirs. This was reinforced by the fact he wasn't the only one saying it. But he was the loudest who was doing it. So while all this is happening, ladies and gentlemen, our amazing flex group that was full of nothing but the best average tier gamers, according to the hierarchy, was progressing really nicely. Each boss was taking about 15 to 20 pulls and falling to the floor. The great group check on the Fallen Protectors, the raid lead testing Nurashen, the Iron Juggernaut, 5 pulls only and down on the floor. Our raid team was also allowed to talk during the raid nights, and they were having fun. The loot council was considered very fair. It essentially boiled down to just need before greed and checking who it was better for. That was it. Our team was cohesive, regular, and doing well. For Armst, that meant that he could talk way more shit about Braggart, especially Braggart's ability to play the game. He himself, of course, was absolute shit, requiring coaching from me, who didn't understand how to do Warlock DPS. I even leveled a Warlock alt just to understand how he was so fucking bad, and that made me slightly fall in love with playing a ranged DPS. It did help Armst a little bit, but to be honest, he stayed in the group because flex raiding required almost no damage, and people were technically worse than him, and the bosses were dying. So what's the problem? In contrast, Braggart's hardcore normal progression team was struggling, hitting wall after wall. They were stuck on General Nazgrim for a really long time, and people were getting mad in Braggart's group. I recall the Flex group approaching Nazgrim, causing a bunch of, well, based on what we've seen in Braggart's group, this boss is going to be really hard. And alright, now this is the wall. This is where you're going to hit it. And to be fair, he was right for the most part, as our group was progressing slower than the hardcore group. The actual catching up, though, happened when the group met Thok, the big, nasty dinosaur. A boss that the normal team had been progressing for 2 weeks. When people heard we had reached the same boss as the hardcore normal group, okay, we had a ton of new sign-ups who wanted to practice. As I was checking through the list of sign-ups, I noticed a name appear that had never signed up for our little casual flex run before. Braggart wanted in. Not only that, I received a DM from Braggart saying he would grace us with his presence, and also he would raid lead to take the stress off me. Nobody wanted this. Nobody. Immediately drama ensued. Heads were butting, and ultimately, he had authority. After all, he was writing the hierarchy of performance week on week. Braggart won the argument. No matter what we fucking said, he always came back to, we're the better team, and we are helping you. For Arms, this was the wedge that he could use to drive the rest of the guild and our little clique apart, feeding sweet, sweet bullshit to us on evenings when we four were among the few people online. Ukami was the first person to break. Just said fuck this and started looking for a better guild. Next was me. So entrenched in what Arms was telling me, I was not only considering leaving the guild, I was being convinced to start a new one, where I would be in charge, on a totally different server. I was given Arm's word that he would help be my second in command to put the guild together with his years of experience being a gay warlock from a country that no longer existed. How many... Just keeps going, brings it up all the time. Do you want a drink? You know, I think I will have a drink. As an elderly gay warlock from a country that no longer exists, I often find myself thirsty on a daily basis. So, yeah, I think I will take a drink. I will. Yeah, okay, good. He also claimed that he would use his years of wisdom to help me recruit and fill the guild, to do all the baggage work, as it was described. With such promises, a plan, of course, was hatched. With the release of Warlords of Apex's crystals, we would grab a bunch of like-minded individuals from the guild, transfer to a better, more populated server, start a brand new chippy, complete with Chinese food, and attempt to become heroic raiders. There, in our new domain, we would show Braggart that we were so much better than him. The target server was the same server that Okami had transferred to join his new guild, just so that we had some level of contact there, and maybe we could recruit alongside them. The plan was hatched. A bunch of us gathered together. The stage for our coup was set. The only thing left was D-Day. And D-Day came. Flex Group and Normal Group were head-to-head trying to kill the last boss, Garrosh Hellscream. Some serious progression was happening, and time was running out until the Warlords arrived. And then the inevitable happened. Our group killed Garrosh before the hardcore Braggart group. The cheers that we heard that day still linger with me today. It was incredible. It couldn't have gone better. The loot was distributed, and we stood over that corpse, and that was that. The group was done. That was all we wanted. People moved on because a new expansion was coming soon, and we got the salt that we wanted from the one and only Braggart. And so the motion began, of course. The only ones that transferred, though, were me and Armst. Well, check. Where is everybody? Yeah. What the hell, dude? There was a plan. Where have you guys gone? We made an appropriately edgy guild name because, again, we were lonely and poor. And at this point, I was 20 years old. And then, as promised, Arms said this was rubbish and left the game. We had been there 3 days. I, though, had paid my real-life money to move servers, and I was not about to let this dream die. So I took it upon myself. I pulled myself up and decided I will recruit and get this sorted. Mike, audience, I don't think it's possible to recruit worse players than I did. I got the scummiest of the scum. I got some people who I don't think even put buttons on their bars. After 10 days of recruiting so many people, only to have them ask me insane things like how do I get gold or where is the mailbox, I decided it would be better if I just quit the game until Hellfire Citadel. But then, Mike, I did... Oh, my God. Oh, dear. But then, Mike, I did something I don't think you would have approved. You see, although I wasn't actively playing, I was still browsing the websites, seeing what was happening and keeping up with the news. When I spotted a Reddit guild that was recruiting, you went from a Facebook guild to a Reddit guild? That's what you did? That is your WoW history, is you made your own guild without knowing how the game works, and then joined a Facebook guild, and then joined a Reddit guild. Okay. Ukami, though, actually made good decisions. Good job. And managed to have a decent heroic mythic raiding career. Ajna is still in the titular guild as well as Braggart, pushing hard. As for me, as of Battle for Azerite, I went to greener pastures in other games. I became Baldur's Gate 3 gamer, Factorio gamer, Guild Wars 2 gamer, but then ultimately, WoW Classic gamer. I'm sorry, Mike. I know, after now listening to Drama Time, that my decisions were maybe not the best. But I just want to thank you for reading my story. Hopefully it was entertaining, as it's the biggest WoW drama I've ever been involved in. And looking back on it now, it was totally ridiculous, as most drama is. I mean, you were given all the signs. You were given all the signs. Right? The evidence was there. Okay. Bex, I swear to God, if this is about me, I'm just saying, if this is about me, I'm not going to be happy. All right? I don't need bashing, all right? So, for our audio listeners, the title of this story is The Streamer That Betrayed Me. I've never betrayed anybody, okay? I think that's Sneak Attacks, isn't it? I remember Sneak. I know Sneak. Ain't them a doomish. Google? Someone signed up to our website as Google. It's not supposed to be Google, right? It says Google on the sheet back, so it's not supposed to be Goobs. I'm just double checking. Is the name correct? Because it's Google. Okay, it says Google on the sheet. I was like, well, that seems odd. Googba. Yeah, it's Goobs. Okay. I'm just double checking. I'm glad I checked. I must have been autocorrect. It just says like Hatham, Adoomish, Google, and Hans. Okay, here we go. The streamer who betrayed me. Has any of you ever been betrayed? No, I'm not asking that question. I don't know what streamer betrayal is. Okay, stream. Yeah, you'll all say yes if I ask that question. I don't know why I ask, because I still have an air of innocence around me every day. Warhammer Summer, MMO December. We did MMO December, and we did a lot of Warhammer. We still got more to go. Fuck off. Good day, Preacher and Bex. I just started listening to Drama Time a few weeks ago. I have been binging it hardcore on my daily commute, and I've got a story that does in fact require the jury, because I am not sure if I'm innocent or guilty, or if the members of the story are. Okay, we have genuine verdicts to draft in here. Okay. I come to you from Team USA, and this is actually a very recent story about me dealing with a wannabe content creator who sabotaged my friend's group's raid plans for their own content. Okay, I have never done that, to be clear. Of all the things I've done, I have never done that. I have never sabotaged anybody's raid. Right? I haven't. I have not. I have never done that. All right, here's the scene, guys, so you can assess the... I haven't. Me and a few of my buddies were going to start the War Within as a 5-man squad with the usual goal of getting Curve and Keystone Master like we had done during most of Dragonflight. Me, my good buddy Aura, another friend Sneak Attacks, and a couple, Hatham and Adoomish. Okay, so you come as a package deal. Always awkward, but you can puggles. It's fine. Months before the expansion, we opted to spin a wheel to determine our raid and dungeon roles. Oh, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. I mean, I don't know. When I feel like I want to do a thing, I'm going to do the thing. Yeah, if I don't get the thing I want to do, I don't want to play. We gave ourselves a main and off-spec option, since we like changing things up. I landed on DPS in dungeons and off-tank in the raid. So I chose a monk. Oh, God, you didn't even come in with a class? So you had to choose a class that met the roles that you got on the wheel. Right. Oh, I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that plan at all. This is giving me the EBGBs. I don't like that. The plan was that us 5 would run raids with all of us in healing and tank roles. Okay. That's not a bad plan. That part's not bad. You only need to pug DPS. And you can control the sort of intricacies of the fight for the most part. Don't mind that. If you're all okay with it, that's kind of a play. I would be the raid leader because no one else could be asked. And we would fill DPS with pugs that we could feel indifferent about and fuck off and kick if necessary without stopping the raid. Yeah, that works. That's totally fine. None of us, except Sneak Attacks, who was improving rapidly after returning from a long hiatus away from WoW, are shit at the game. So, we can't really go wrong. Okay, so we've got people who believe they're pretty decent. Now I need to introduce you to the villain of this story, Gooble. I say villain, and maybe that's just my opinion, but you can be the deciding factor. Okay. We have a villain. Now, Hatham, who is one of the couple of our group, is really good friends with Goobs. And Hatham had rolled main tank. So he had a lot of pull in what we were going to be doing. There's fucking 5 of you who randomly rolled things. You don't randomly roll authority. What is this? Crazy talk? What are you talking about? What? I'm so confused. Google had different plans to us in his mind and started discussing his plans with Hatham, and Hatham seemed to prefer Google's way of doing things. As Hatham thought it was all good ideas, he started changing our 5-man group plans. You see, Google was an aspiring content creator. He was going to become a WoW streamer. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a rough game to get into, pal. Listen, trust your dad on this one. That's a rough game. Google had come up with an excellent plan. We would list raids, find people through pugging, get them to sign up to our Pug Discord community, where we would have raids twice weekly and foster a chill community of players. And it would all be funneled through Google's stream. Okay. Sounds good, doesn't work. It doesn't even sound good. This sounds horrendous. This sounds absolutely awful. I feel, I mean, just to be clear, I've had this presented to me as an idea millions of times because people have this very utopic idea of how this will work out. No. Absolutely not. As anybody from any of the PG communities will know, they need constant modding, constant never-ending modding when you have open platforms like this. Okay. But we shouldn't worry, because our actual plans and goals would all remain the same, and it was nothing for us to be concerned about. Okay. Google was going to put it all together. He had it all figured out. He was going to run the Discord as long as we were okay with his name and likeness being the branding of the Discord. And I would still be the raid leader. So you're going to do the actual work that the players are there for. Good job. He gets to stick his picture on a Discord. You have to raid lead all these pug bastards that are joining from his stream. All right. So good. Honestly, Mike, I could take or leave that role. I just felt most comfortable doing it out of all of us. But the goal was to try and get people to stay and stick around. Why? So he gets viewers. I see. Okay. Now, Mike, I want to be clear. We're not bad at the game, but I do not consider myself to be hardcore. Me and Aura just regularly get ahead of the curve, Keystone Master every season pretty quickly, and then we go and play other shit until a new patch comes out. As you can see, this is where our guild started to splinter, if we want to put it that way. I can't lay this out any clearer to anyone listening to this right now. I couldn't give a fuck about Google's stream, or whether he's successful at it. I'd known them for a couple of years, and I just thought he was boring as fuck. He was awkward, he was unfunny, but I digress. I don't give a shit. Yeah, kind of rude. That guy's trying to make a name for himself, man. One day he's going to be an influencer, man. It's going to be awesome. Now, I'll be honest, me and Aura, who were the tightest, didn't really see the splintering being a big issue. We love our friends, and we're willing to just play the game for a while to see how things goes. We've got no big commitments. It's whatever. So our first normal raid day comes around. I'd, of course, been doing what most of us serious gamers do, even if we're not going to stick around for a while, and farming gear like a motherfucker. I really enjoyed what the War Within was offering. I like the rep grind. I like doing my heroic dungeons, doing my weeklies, doing delves, professions. I liked everything they had going. I was more ready for this raid than anyone else. But 2 hours before the raid, I get a message in the pink from the Google himself. He's asked me to tank some Mythic Zeros before raid to help him and a couple of his friends get their last pieces of gear before the big main raid day. Sure. If they're after their last pieces, they'll be decently geared. And getting an extra couple of item levels before the raid ain't no big deal. It's not going to hurt anyone. So I say yes. I joined the party and the other players. Gooble's okay geared. He's not as geared as I am, though. Quite a chunk of item level below me, but not like bad. But then there were these other two. I recognized one of them, Hans, as an alt of a friend who was in a mythic raiding guild. This alt was fresh off the boat. I didn't recognize the third guy, but he was the same. He might as well have been naked for all intents and purposes. Now, I was willing to help gear people for our raid, sure. I am not willing to spend the next 2 hours dying in a fucking Mythic Zero just so some randos I don't know can gear their alts when we've got a first raid to be preparing for. So, I did what I thought was right. I need a mini judgment from the audience on this. As soon as I inspected them, I hit my enter key and I typed, "Hey guys, I'll help you another time. I don't have time to carry alts through Mythic Zero right now. I still have some weeklies I'd rather get done before the raid," and just left the group. I would say not guilty, but I think you should wait for our response before you leave the group. Right? I mean, that's I think like joining, dropping your bomb, and fucking just ditching is definitely rude. It is rude. It's not wrong. It is rude. You could say, "Yo, I'm not carrying alts right now," and just wait for a response like, "Oh, okay," or something like that, or you know, "I'm a Mythic Raider." It's like, "Yeah, I get it, but I've got something." It's rude. It's not wrong, but it is rude. The counter to this, I don't know how long ago since I've told this story, is on my... One of the greatest moments I had when I was in Method was getting the message that I could play my warrior. Because they made me a warlock, and I didn't really like it. It's shit. And I got told I could play my warrior. So my glorious undead warrior became a night elf warrior. And on that day, a certain Scottish person whispered me saying, "I've heard you're a pretty good tank. Can you tank Trial of the Crusader for us? 10-man. I said yes, because why would I not want to tank with Sko? Turns out Sko was DPSing. And the only other member of Method in there was unnamed. And there was 7, I believe, ladies in that group who were looking for carries from the big strong men. We wiped on the Northrend Beasts for 2.5 hours. It got so bad. I want to be clear. Our usual clear time in Method for Trial of the Crusader was like 35, 40 minutes. Like blasted that thing to death. It got so bad that I was now almost late to pick up my then fiance from work. And when I let them know, like, I have to go. Like, we've been here for like 3 hours, dudes. I have shit to do. I will say this. Our relationship is not the same anymore. I got kind of warned by unnamed Method member that it is not acceptable to join raids and leave raids. And leave before the raid is complete. I did not stick around for that raid. I was like, I mean, I don't really care. So I'm going. I was still on trial. I was a trial at the time. I was still on trial, but I was like, yeah, fuck this noise. I am not here to try and fucking get you some E-ladies. That is not happening. It's not acceptable to leave. That was the message I got back. I was like, I didn't whisper Sko. I whispered the other unnamed person who was an officer. I was like, dude, I have to leave in like 15 minutes. I've got to pick my fiance up. We've been here 3 hours. And they're like, it's not okay in Method to join a raid and leave before the raid is completed. This was an off raid. This wasn't an official raid, right? This wasn't raid night. This was, you're on at weekend. Can you come and tank this thing? And I was like, I'm out of here, man. I was like, yeah, I gotta go. did not get kicked. Unsurprisingly, did not get kicked or reprimanded. I was like, this is fucking stupid. I'm out of here. It was Roger. This is before Roger Brown joined. That predates Roger Brown's arrival into the method sphere. Yeah, that was before Roger Brown showed up. Fun times. Anyway, I'm just saying I've been there. I've been trapped in. I'm like, I'm not doing it. The old days, very old days. This is Roger would have been there by then because Roger joined. No, I think it was pre-Roger. Roger joined during TOC, if I remember right. I remember doing Ulduar with Roger because we did some Yogg Zeros for boost groups. But I think that was after. I think. Either way, it doesn't matter. Here we go. Well, Mike, this fuck up is on me. That third guy that I didn't know was not an alt, but a brand new player who was a friend of Google. I wouldn't find this out until later on. Why does that matter? Oh, because you affected his stream by being in the toxic guild? Is that what it is? Is he blaming you for giving a toxic guild impression? Ah, you're ruining his stream, man! Raid time hits and we continue as expected. Night 1, we get stuck on normal bloodbound horror. It wasn't a great look, but we were still... That's the spinny guy again, right? That spinny guy caused people a lot of problems. We had that come up in a story last week or the week before, something like that. The tanks, dude. Always. That's why I'm always thankful for the tanks like yourself, Jolster and Ravenspire and Jace. It's a tank fight. If the tanks can do the job, they're fine. It wasn't a great look, but we're still somewhat optimistic. Raid night comes to an end. Is that all you killed? Isn't that boss number 2? It is, right? Bloodbound Horror's boss number 2. You killed one boss all raid night? Oh, God. Raid night ends and I relay the mythic dungeon story to the 5-man. The close-knit 5-man from the beginning of the tale. And I point to the undergeared characters being the reason we're failing. We adjourned for the night, but later I got a real-life SMS text message from Hatham. He's very upset with me for becoming toxic and being toxic to new members. He was kind of right. I was rude when I left, whatever. So I went on the Discord, I found the person, and I sent them an apology. Okay. They accepted. We worked it out. No big deal. Unbeknownst to me, until, as I write this, Mike, last week, oh, come on, guess what happened, because it's awesome. Guess what happened? Oh, guess what happened? Okay, you're not going to guess. It's exactly what you'd expect someone trying to break into the content creator world would do. Even if they're already established, this thing happens. Google made a drama react video about the raid night. Of course he did. Of course he did. Oh, let's go. Of course he did. Yeah, of course. It was a combination of a gag reel of his funny comments during the raid. Oh. And shit talking of us, calling the whole raid and everybody else but him idiots. Despite him streaming non-stop and advertising the video, he had amassed 48 views. Nice. I obviously can't share it with you here because there's no anonymity at all. Of course, we always keep our Drama Time members anonymous. My voice is very fucking clear in the video because I'm the raid leader. I can't even make it through the video, and I think I'm responsible for 20 of the 48 views. Okay, I could do it. Click. No, I can't. It's awful. It's just so bad. It is the biggest pile of cringe you've ever seen. I don't know. Have you seen my furnaces? They're very cringe. But in the video, I get in trouble for saying I don't want to carry alts. I haven't shared my knowledge of this video with anyone but Aura. So carry on to the next night, and we actually get up to Ansarek, but we couldn't kill her. That's a huge improvement on your first raid. The next week, I'm out of town for work. I'm super bummed out, but it was a really good conference where I was asked to lead a presentation to a decent-sized audience. Yeah! Fuck yeah, dude. Extroverts unite! Real big kid stuff. They pugged an off-tank to fill in for me. No big deal. At this point, we've accumulated about 4 or 5 regular people to the community who want to stick around for our raids. That's not a lot in, like, many weeks, but okay. 4 or 5. I don't mean to offend, but let's just say the 4 or 5 who were looking to get into our raids every week were not what you would describe as pumpers. Shocker. Shocker. The ones hanging around with an easy-to-get-in raid are not exactly the blasters of the group. The week after that, we full cleared normal in one single night. Sneak Attacks misses out because he's out of town visiting colleges so he can go back to culinary school. Oh, chef de partie. He ends up not being able to join back again. And night 2, we decide it's time to go heroic. This is where our glorious idea, my friends, of the chill community got real wrinkly real fast. We did kill Heroic Ulgrax, the first boss, but we then got stuck on the Bloodbound Horror yet again for 2 hours. We finished the night without killing it, and we'll retry it next week. Well, that next week happened to coincide with the next big thing in MMO technology, Throne and Liberty. Google tells us that it is impossible for him to not stream that all day, as it is an insane opportunity to gain new viewers to his stream. It's gonna pop. It's gonna pop. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's gonna pop. It's gonna pop. You've gotta wait. It's a balloon, bitch. Poparoo. Here we go. So he refused to sign up for our raid. However, he also said that he was so focused on the launch of Throne and Liberty for his stream that he couldn't do his regular tasks, which included putting the groups together, making the invites. He had had people add him for future invites. We didn't have a guild or a community to invite from. So Tuesday came around and we couldn't get in touch with anybody to invite. So we just ended up doing normal mode. And Google didn't create a sign up for night 2, so we just didn't raid that night. That's kind of on you. You should... I thought you had a Discord. What do you mean? Did you have a Discord? Like Whisper this, Battle.net or whatever for your invite that night? What are you talking about? I don't understand that you can't get a group together if you have a Discord. I speak to my friends in the original OG 5-man group about how this sucks. I'm told by Hatham that you were off a couple of weeks ago as well. And Sneak Attacks had to miss last week. So I should have some sympathy that people have other things going on in their life rather than raiding. Okay. I don't, obviously, since I was out of town, away from any gaming devices for a work trip that was planned a year ago. Sneak Attacks was literal states away working on higher education, and neither of us were just playing a different video game for the sake of content. Next week comes, though. We're going straight into Heroic, my friends. Serious business. Google puts in new requirements that he's going to test. Minimum 600 IM level. Minimum 350k DPS. Obviously, we get full stuck on the old wiggly worm. The mechanics are just too much for our chill, friendly, welcoming streamer community. Hans is shit on his ult that he keeps bringing. Google switched mains for no discernible reason, going from a Resto Shaman to an Evoker, and his Evoker is dog shit, even below the minimums that he had set that very week. Classic. Now, Mike, an audience listening to this, my problem is that this isn't what I was signing up for in the first fucking place. And this is when it all hit me. We had made plans. I knew what I was here for. I signed up for our 5 guys to do Mythic Plus, get Keystone, pug 5 fucking random DPS each week, and go on with the raid and be the fuck out of here. We're now 5 weeks into the patch. We're struggling to re-clear Heroic even to where we were before. We're wiping on bosses we've killed for an hour, and our self-appointed leader is switching mains and streaming Throne and fucking Liberty when it's raid night. When it all hit me, this is when I just called it quits on the whole thing. Me and Aura, amicably, or so we thought, depart from the chill group for the time being so we can just do our thing that we came here to do. Immediately, Google unfriends me and Aura on Battle.net. As you can imagine, I am very saddened by this, despite not even being in his group chat. Us two find ourselves a little guild while we're pugging Ansarek and choose to join them just to get the kill, which we do literally within the next 7 days. We decide to commit our 2 characters to the new guild, who raids on different days. The chill group takes a week break to retool and gear up a Doomish's swap to his Demon Hunter so that she can be the tank to replace me. 6 weeks later, the chill streamer community group is still stuck on the same boss, the Brood Twister. After me and Aura have killed Ansarek, we want to go back because we felt guilty. We want to go back and help the chill group that still has a couple of our friends in it. No. Now, we were having fun in our clearance guild, so we can't use our main characters. We've committed them to where we are. They don't raid on the same night, and we have alts that can help, that need gear. So we approach our 3 of the original 5 friends and bring this up. It turns out that Hatham, my longtime friend, is so mad at us for leaving. Not that they ever said anything to us about it, saying that they understand that we don't like slow progress, but that Hatham doesn't like being carried, and they like the struggle. What? What does that mean? What does that even mean? That sounds like some propaganda shit to me. Yo, what are you doing? Like extra dungeons outside of the raid? All right, if you want to be overgeared, I suppose. Now, I was confused by this, as I've no doubt we are, but I understood it to mean that Hatham and Google had been talking, and Google had convinced my friend Hatham that the reason we had left the chill community was to go and be carried by better players in a guild that was more organized. Hatham had no other reason to believe that. We've been playing together for literally fucking years, and none of us have ever been carried in our entire lives. But he bought into it. We go back and forth without any reconciliation. We can come back to the team if we want to, as long as we don't quote-unquote steal gear, and as long as we are consistent. Seems fine to me. Life gets in the way for all of us, and another raid night doesn't come up for another few weeks. Jesus Christ, they raid once every few weeks. And an invite was given to us by Hatham. Yeah, like they don't even raid. They literally don't even play the game. In the meantime, before this raid night, Google has joined Hans's mythic raid group on an alt heroic clear night and got carried, in every literal sense of the word, through ahead of the curve. Notably, there is not one person from his streamer guild chill group in that team. He then, in his own inspiring way, jumps into his community chill Discord and brags that the Queen Ansarek Heroic is way easier than they thought it was. What a hero. What a hero. What an absolute hero. Yeah. Mike, this pissed me the fuck off. Me and Aura legitimately progged that fight. Legitimately. As I know you have. We did. We did it on stream. Wasn't it a fun time, everybody? Especially with 30 people. And it took us over 100 pulls to kill Heroic Answerak and get it right. The Chill community group has now decided that they want to get away from the content creator Discord to be more focused and have a serious guild-specific Discord. Google will be the off-tank, and they're just going to pug DPS to Phil, who they can kick if they're underperforming. Pretty much, we're going back to the original fucking plan, but this time it wouldn't have me or Aura. Mike, I've mulled over this situation for a few weeks, and I have decided that I hate Google. I have given it much thought, and I've decided that I hate you. Namaste. I hate you a lot. I'm a blunt person in real life. And I just said I don't get along with him, so I'll pass on the invite. But I hope that we can still play together with my friends in the future. I did join them on night 2 on my main as DPS, but not joining the Discord call, so I didn't have to hear their voice, to kill Brood Twister. Just because I was online and by that time had quit the Queen Prog Guild. There was bad vibes in there once it got to farm week. The following week came. There's no raid sign up or anything like that. My good friends Hatham, Adumish, Google as well, and Hans started up a 7 days to die server and have stuck the balls in. The Chill community players that were picked up along the way were fully fucking abandoned. Oh no. What's going on? I don't know. Which brings us to today. The awesome streamer community, built on the back of Google's rising stardom, has crumbled to dust. Only me and Aura still get online regularly because we're leveling some new characters and everyone else has just disappeared. The Chill group never got ahead of the curve, but I suppose there's plenty of season left for them. I will say this, we're all adults and we recognise that this drama is game drama. So the 5-man still talk about stuff outside of WoW all the time. I want to know though, Mike and the audience, am I in the wrong? Is Google the villain I make him out to be in my head? I don't know. Take it easy and most importantly, have fun with what you do. No? I don't think so. I don't think Google did anything he didn't say he was going to do. I honestly think the guilty ones are your friends that bought into whatever he was selling for some reason. I don't think he's a villain. I don't think he did anything that I haven't seen a million people, not just wannabe streamers or whatever, do. I don't think so. I really don't. I don't see anything in here that he did that's particularly bad. Right? I really don't. You bought into the cult. Did they? I mean, I'll be honest. The only really guilty person here is Hatham. Whoever that is. In the actual, Hatham's the name of our audience member. But Hatham, I don't like. I need to be careful here because I don't burn many bridges in my life, but I have burned some. I don't like, and I don't really know if there's a word for it, people who dismiss everything that evidence has shown them because they heard something different from someone untrustworthy. I don't think I've ever been angrier than when that's happened. Can I give you an example? The example is this story. You've known Hatham for many years and played together. You've never been carried. Hatham is clearly aware that you're good at the game and you don't need to be carried or anything like that whatsoever. Yet some person says, oh, he probably wants to be carried, and they bought it immediately. Like, every single scrap of evidence that has accumulated over years was dismissed out of hand. Like that. That I find intolerable when that happens. Absolutely intolerable. Yeah, it's like... marriage could be like that, but thankfully it's not with my wife, which is happy enough. Like, you can imagine in the years I've been doing this, despite my horrific features, on occasion there have been people who have tried to cause problems in my marriage. My wife knows 100% there ain't nothing there. But can you imagine if the 20 years that I've been with my wife, that if anybody messaged her saying X, Y, or Z, that she just believed that immediately, despite everything? That would be nonsensical, right? That would be insane. That would be so stupid. If you're like, what are you talking, that kind of thing where anything learned is just complete. Not that people can't betray you, they can. But if there should be at least a conversation had, like, hey, I got this message or whatever the hell's going on, things like that. I don't know. I don't know if I'm describing it correctly, but I find it very offensive when people believe an outside source over someone they've known for years without a discussion, which I've had a few times. I've had it a few times where people are like, well, I believe this. Do you understand what I'm saying? I find that very weird, which is why I find Hatham to be the guilty person. It's a chronically online thing. It's annoying. It's very strange to me. It's very, very strange to me when you can have years and years of proven evidential behavior and then somebody hears something from someone and they believe it. I'm not saying they like, hey, this guy told me this thing. I'm like, what the fuck? No, they just believe it and they also get angry at you about it. And you're like, it's not even true. I don't know. It's weird behavior to not believe you people. You get one guide. You kind of get one guide. Yeah, I think that's the best example of it. You get one guide. You get one guide over the fact that you shouldn't do. So I blame Hatham. I think Hatham is the guilty party for buying into it. That's who I'm rolling with at this story. I declare judgment. I've literally had friends suddenly completely ignore me over random hearsay. That's what I'm talking about. Crazy shit like that. That stuff is weird. And I can only imagine it's part of some sort of paranoid personality trait where despite everything glaring you in the face, you expect someone to fuck you over. And then any suggestion that that's happened plays into that paranoia and they just buy it immediately. They're like, they'll ditch everything. Yeah, it's like you're waiting. I think people wait to get fucked over. Maybe they've had somebody fuck them over in the past or whatever, and they just immediately buy into it. Don't do that, by the way. Communication. Talk to the person. Yo, Tony said this. What is this about? Like, I don't fucking know. That's about as far as it goes. Why the fuck did he say that? I didn't do that. He's talking about this thing. Yeah, it didn't happen that way. Like a conversation. Communication. Always so important. Communication. It's wonderful. That brings to the end for this week, though, of Drama Time. Not the end of work for me. I will be working a lot over the weekend, but not in a way that puts me in front of the camera that you're looking at right now. That one there. But I will be a busy bumblebee. It is Emma's birthday next week on Thursday. I probably am going to spend the day with her on Friday, so drama next week might be on like Wednesday or something like that, okay? So that's just something to bear in mind. I'll let you know closer to the time, but mayhaps, it's the Queen's birthday and the Queen must be treated in the most regal ways. The most regal of ways. But it is Emma's birthday. I will do what I say. It's her 40th birthday. So we might do an early drama next week. All right. What am I getting her? A saddle. Miserable. Fucking miserable. Am I a saddle? No. It's an actual saddle. An actual fucking saddle. Depression. Yeah. An actual fucking saddle. But other than that, I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.